Morning Edge is our morning call that we do Monday through Friday, 7:30 Central Time, 8:30 Eastern. And Mark and I host this call, and it's for our community, our tribe members, the subscribers. And today I am going to share with you honestly, a mic drop on how are these hyperscalers who are spending all this money going to get a return on their investment. And I believe Mark nailed it today on our Morning Edge. So watch the call.
Last week, Amazon, Google, Meta, and Microsoft all raised their AI spending from about 670 billion to 725 billion. And then yesterday, Andy Jassy, he's the CEO of Amazon, came out and he said investors will be well rewarded by all of its AI spending. And I've been thinking about this for a long time. And again, here he goes. You know, we believe AI is the biggest technological transformation of our lifetime, going to reinvent every single customer experience we know, altogether with new ones never imagined. And I've been trying to figure this out, you know, with billions being spent, how are they going to get the return on investment? And so I've been thinking for about a week on this, and I talked to some people in Omaha. They're from California at the Berkshire Hathaway, and we kind of noodled it around. We were at a bar called Mr. Toad's after the first day. It's kind of interesting to get ideas from different people. And I think this is my thesis because, you know, the four largest hyperscalers, which is Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, and Meta, you know, they confirmed a combined 2026 capital expenditure, CapEx, of nearly 725 billion. And to put that in perspective, that's the annual GDP of Poland spent on AI. So I've been racking my brains trying to figure out what the end game is for these companies. You know, how are they going to get a return on investment for over $1 trillion of spending? I mean, to justify 700 billion in annual spending, I don't think the ROI is going to come from a $20 a month subscription to Chatbox. Okay, I can't pencil it out. So then I remembered what Walter Gretzky told his son Wayne. We talk about it all the time on this channel. You know, skate to where the puck's going to be, not to where it's been. You know, so I got to thinking about how does that apply to where AI is today and where it may be going tomorrow, and maybe that would help me figure this ROI out. So this has kind of been the question that's been tormenting me, and I've talked to Trent about it a lot, and he's the same kind of way. And maybe you guys have figured out, but you know, I think I finally might have figured out, you know, or at least the thesis that makes logical sense to me. I think the industry is moving past the era of co-pilots and chat boxes, which is where we are today. You know, that's where the puck is. We've entered into kind of a labor flip and thinking out where the puck's going to go. A fundamental economic transition where AI is no longer a tool used by workers like us asking questions, but a digital workforce that executes the entire business process autonomously. So this shift, I think, is going to happen is the most significant reallocation of capital in modern history. So where is the ROI going to come from? I think it's the $15 trillion spent annually on global white collar labor. That's where the puck's going. So this will be the labor flip, I think. And so to understand the labor flip, you must distinguish between where we are. Generative AI, which creates the content. That's what we all do on Chat, or Genesis or Gemini, or whatever. We go ask questions and it does our work for us. And agentic AI. Okay, and agentic AI is you have an agent. You know, generative AI is where we are now, ChatGPT, where we ask questions, and agentic AI, the AI agent directs the process. So I know Kerry uses his agent more in a generative AI. He has it generate reports and things where it's at. In the future, that generative AI is going to do everything. Okay, Kerry won't have to ask it or have a prompt. He'll tell it what to do, and it's going to do it because an AI agent is a system that uses the large language model as a brain, but it's equipped with 3 additional critical components, and those are memory, okay, short-term memory for current task, and long-term memory to remember past interactions and company-specific standard operating procedures. So if you do Gemini or Claude or whatever, and you ask a question and then you ask another question, it remembers what you were talking about before. Second thing is planning. It has the ability to take high level goal, like audit these 500 invoices for compliance, and then decompose it into multi-step sequences or subtasks. It can do that. And the third is tool use. It has the capability to call APIs, navigate software interfaces, write and execute code, and browse the web and gather data or trigger actions in the systems. So it's kind of an agent loop. Okay. Agents operate in a continuously known cycle called REACT, reason plus act loop. And where you perceive, you receive input, like a new legal contract. You reason, you analyze the goal versus the current state. It plans, determines the next necessary action, search for an indemnity clause of such. It acts, it executes on the action, opens a PDF, extract tests, and observes. It evaluates the results of the action and loops back to step one. So where we are is interesting when you think about it, because we talk about the softwares and why are the software stocks going down, because of AI. And that's the SaaS, SaaS versus the LaaS, which is the last. And this is where I think the ROI super engine is, because for the last 20 years, 30 years, the software as a service, which is the SaaS model dominated. So companies paid for access, or we paid for access to tools like Microsoft Office and those kind of things, so that us humans could do the work. But the labor as a service, the LaaS model, flips this by charging for outcomes. Okay, so the mathematics of this is, in a SaaS model, the company might pay $50 a month for a CRM seat used by a $150,000 a year analyst. But in the last model, labor as a model, that same company might pay $100,000 a year for an agent fleet that performs the work of 5 such analysts, making $150,000 a year. The business saves $650,000 in labor costs, while the AI vendor captures 2,000x more revenue than a standard software seat. That's where I think is the payoff in this ROI. So the end game is the $15 trillion prize that we pay white collar workers around the world today. So the Mag 7 stocks, especially Microsoft and Google, are trying to capture the global payroll of those white collar workers within companies. So the market, the total global spend of knowledge of work labor, is estimated at almost $20 trillion. So by building these agentic OS systems, tech giants are moving from being like a vendor to being the employees of digital labor. So they can replace all departments with this, and then basically get rid of your employees. So major players like Salesforce have already begun pivoting to pay per outcome models in 2026. So you no longer pay for the accounting software, you pay $1 for every successful reconciled invoice instead. So when you look at the implementation timeline, where are we? Well, phase 1 is the generative augmentation. And I think we just completed that. That is, AI acted as co-pilot. Humans remained as the agent in the loop, using AI to draft emails, summarize documents, write snippets of code. Phase 2 is kind of where we are currently. It's called operational agency. So we're currently in the years of vertical agents. Companies are deploying departmental agents for specific high-frequency tasks. Customer support agents that resolve 90% of the tickets end-to-end without a human intervention. You all talk to them on the phone. Cybersecurity agents that autonomously hunt for threats and patch vulnerabilities in real time. And procurement agents that negotiate with vendors and process orders. Okay. And phase 3 is where I think we'll probably be in 2027 going forward. So by 2027, the focus moves to orchestrated fleets of these agents working together. So instead of one agent doing one task, companies will deploy agent meshes where a marketing agent identifies a trend. It hires a creative agent to generate assets. It instructs the media buy agent to execute the media campaign. And they all three report to a single human director, like me or you, who manages the budget and signs off on the final strategy. So I think this labor flip is a move from complexity to capability. And for enterprises, the goal is no longer to buy the best software, but to hire the best intelligence. So as Microsoft and Google pivot to Google TPUs and massive agent frameworks, they're betting that the future of the global economy isn't helping humans work better, it's doing the work for them. So companies won't care who has the best features, they'll care who can get the job done, that hire these Google and Microsoft. This is why the Mag 7, Microsoft, Google, Nvidia are so aggressive. The total amount spent on white collar salaries is $20 trillion. Big tech's end game is to capture a massive slice of this global payroll. Instead of paying an accounting firm, you will pay a success fee to an AI agent that has reconciled your books perfectly. So, as investors, the winners are the ones who own the brains, which are the models, and the muscles, the chips, the TPUs. Google and Microsoft are currently, in my opinion, after looking at what they did in earnings and what they're planning to do, um, currently in a dead heat to see who's going to become the world's largest digital employer. So isn't a tech upgrade, in my opinion. It's really a hostile takeover of your payroll processes. And I believe this is where the puck's going. Any thoughts on
That
that?
is, yeah, that is, wow.
Thank you for that.
Because
Wow.
you think about that, you think about the magnitude of that. Like yesterday, I spent time redoing the morning newsletter and using programming Cowork to go gather data, format all this stuff that would take me an hour to do. This morning, I woke up, took 5 minutes, copy, sectioned it off, create, put it in, boom, looked at the accuracy of it, and it was done. And I'm and so that ended up saving me an hour and a half this morning. So you applying that to what you're saying, and I've got a company of say 100 employees, and I can eliminate 100, say hell,
90.
you can probably 90 of them. Now you have 190 employees, your profit margins skyrocket, and you just become so much more efficient, and
And
you
I'm
save
paying
on
Microsoft or
healthcare.
Google. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where they're getting their money, that $15 million trillion market. And I thought about it just in our context, Trent, you, me, and Kerry. There'll be a time where we don't even have to do anything. You and I and Kerry can sit on the beach, and we have had these AI agents programmed. They will come on, do everything that we do in the morning. They will come on here with they'll make images of us with our
Oh,
voices and our
guys, it's gonna
thoughts,
be boring then, you know.
and they're gonna run this meeting. You won't even know it's not us. We'll be sitting on the beach, and they'll run this meeting, and then we'll have their Friday meetings. It'll write all the things we write in Discord because they know us, and we'll just sit and we'll approve it and make sure it works well, and go on and do something else.
Well,
I didn't think about this until for the last week. I'm like, where is this ROI coming from? And I think it's that $15 trillion. I think they're going after running everyone's workforce.
well, who was it? Chamath, whatever his last name is, on the All In podcast a year ago was saying you will see the first $1 billion company run by one person in the next
Yep.
like 2-3 years. And basically, what you just described is that framework. And you think about the tasks that we do on a daily basis. If you could multiply yourself using this agent strategy, I mean, holy cow. I think the challenge, the only thing, it's not not what I'm about to say is saying this will stop it from happening, but it will affect the human condition, and that is humans need purpose. And do you all of a sudden eliminate that? You get it down to such a fine, you're so dialed in that it takes away. We go, well, what am I supposed to do today?
Well, I mean, people are going to have to think, and they're going to have to figure out with all these tools how they're going to survive, and it's sitting right there. You got to have the desire and the drive to go do it. But for people who just want to work for somebody all their life, I think that is changing. If this thing works out the way I think it's going to work out.
Which means we're going to have to change our education system, how we raise our children, our grandchildren.
How you think? How you think about economics? Yeah.
Just focus on nutrition and exercise all day long.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow. Well, that would hurt the healthcare industry, and they don't want that to happen. So
well, they cannot control individuals on that. It's society that need to change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's
so anyway.
That's wow.
I've been thinking about for long. Well, you and I have been trying to figure it out anyway, Trent. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
How are you going to get return on $20 of subscriptions? It's not that. It's taken over the entire labor force for 15 trillion. You know,
So with that said, what companies will lead this charge in the big way?
anyone who has huge amounts of employer, labor is the biggest cost of most companies. You know,
Yeah.
and if anything's transactional, somebody sitting at a terminal just typing in reports or doing something, that can all be taken over, or answering people's questions. We already see that. You can get on
Right.
anything has welcome to my chat. Can I answer your question? Kind of thing.
So
You know,
who are the companies who lead this charge? Who do you hire?
I think Google and Amazon are the ones that are going to run it
Do
right
we buy
now.
ADP?
I didn't hear Angelo. What'd you say?
Should we buy ADP?
Well, I don't know. I can't tell you what to buy. I mean, but I'm giving you the concept of what I think is going to happen. Then we got to figure out where it's going to benefit. But right now, the road race, and I've looked into some things that Amazon's doing and Google are doing right now, and I'll put those on the Discord along with the report I just read you that I did on my Discord. But to me, it looks like Amazon and Google, especially because Google really, when you go back to their quarter report and what they're doing with their TPUs, they're just taking charge of everything and moving it in house, getting away from NVIDIA basically, and being able to run it on their own. What I
I guess
said.
my question was going to be, what was the $15 trillion, Mark? Can you
That's the global
give me?
white collar spend for work for white collar work in the world. That's the payroll basically for white collar workers in the world.
I think
Amazing. Yeah.
I think that the problem I have with some of this is we're taking, my wife would say, "Have you not watched Terminator?" I mean, you're basically in a sense taking the human element. I honestly don't think this has to continue as a human being having these discussions on the morning edge. I don't want to see an agent take over this.
No, but I mean that's where I just as an example,
Yeah,
you know.
no, I agree. That's my concern is that it does.
Yeah, I
And
agree, Trent. It's disheartening because, they use the word, that word, artificial intelligence. There's no intelligence about it. It's real intelligence that built this. Like I used an AI music generator the other day to create some songs, and I was thinking, you know, real people uh, made this music, and it's just grabbing that and enhancing it. And it's the same way with everything, right? So the AI is getting all of this information from people, on the internet, and it's drawing from that real intelligence and enhancing it. And it just doesn't seem fair. I mean, it is what it is, and it's coming.
Yep.
But I don't like to use the word artificial intelligence because it's really our intelligence, it's human intelligence that created this.
The
And
thing that the
go
thing
ahead.
that bothers me, Troy, is it learns from that too. So it learns about us, it learns about our thoughts, it learns about how we think, way faster than we think about other things like that. So it's
yeah,
learning from us.
Yeah, it's a way of cheating, really. And then, I mean, my goodness, if it ends up taking even a quarter of the job force
5 trillion
off of
there,
off
10
of the
trillion.
back off of the back of human intelligence seems a little unfair. Now, you don't want to cut out the fact that we might be embarking on a bold new world that we're all going to be much better off because of it. But it's a little scary.
I think
Definitely.
here's one possibility of good that comes out of this is we have seen over the last say 10, 20, 30 years is a decline in the middle class. And the real wealthier get wealthier and the poorer get poorer. The middle class is more going south financially. Does this give an opportunity to rebuild that middle class? I think there is a group of people, unfortunately, who will never engage who will never go out beyond their comfort zone, and that will make up sort of the lower class world. But could it re-strengthen the middle class again, and equalize, maybe more level the playing field financially? But I think that starts at a very young age in education. We from what I see and hear, they have not changed the education system all that much. So
yeah, it's gonna require a change. And again, I'm not the visionary that Kerry is, but I am the person that wants to know how things are
Don't
going to
call
get.
him a visionary. He doesn't want to be called that.
Well, I'm going to call him that because that's what he is.
So am I.
Yeah, you are. But I like to know where the return's coming. I'm more business oriented. I've owned several business, and I know when you spend something, you expect something in return. And that's what just blew my mind, that these guys are spending $1 trillion on this for what end? And I think that's the end game. Unless someone else can think of anything else. I'm not saying I'm right on this, but it's just my
Yeah,
theory.
I feel like they have a pulse on early adoption rates already, and they probably see the early signs of what corporate America can do with this product, and they have a very definitive what I guess the compute that they have currently, and they know what they're going to need to accommodate. And so they're looking at that adoption meter, and they're saying there is no way, if we don't spend this much money and build this many data centers by whatever date, we're going to get so left behind, we're not going to be a relevant player in this. And I think that's what they're seeing. They're seeing that adoption rate versus the amount of compute that they have, and they got to go for it, or just throw in the towel, right? Because somebody will win the race, or a couple companies will win the race, and it'll be whoever spent the money the fastest and got it done.
yeah,
Got it done right.
Yeah, got it done right.
Yeah,
You're right.
well,
but you still have to go. You still have to go to where is the return money, and I think it's at 15-20 trillion dollars of labor that
I
can't
agree.
be saved. Think about the commercial real estate market. If all these companies don't need employees, I mean, I could sit here and run the company for somebody in my house. They don't need a building. They don't need anything. You know.
Yeah.
well, wasn't OpenClaw sort of that hint at what is coming in OpenClaw? From the way I understood it, the way it was explained, was basically you open up like let's say you wanted to pay your electric bill, you give it permission to go into use your checking account, submit the bill payment, go to the website, submit log in, bill payment, the whole thing. And it was this, like, basically you could turn it over to do anything. And that's why OpenAI gobbled it up so fast, because they were like, because it is that agent in a sense of what we're talking about, but on a very elementary level, I think. And I see Claude, I program Claude to run certain things, and I'm getting more and more where I'm getting comfortable with turning over information. I mean, at the end of the day, I just sign my taxes on April 15th and send them off because it's all been bookkeep done, everything's done. And I haven't even thought about it. I just review, the review sheet and approve it. I think that's here now, I think. But I think what I'm looking for is, okay, you got Microsoft, you got Google, handful of these other companies. Who else are we not talking about that is building these agents or these platforms or these employees? Where's that puck, that's now moving out ahead of us?
Yeah, I think it's still in construction among the hyperscalers, especially Amazon and Google, basically, and I think a little bit of Microsoft if they can get it rolling. But I really, yesterday when I saw this article here, And he's basically telling the CEO of Amazon, he argues the scale of spending reflects just how big the opportunity is. He pointed to sheer pace of growth in its cloud unit, Amazon Web Service, as evidence that companies invest in the right place. After the first 3 years of incarnation of AI, our run rate is over 15 billion, 260 times what it was the first 3 years of AWS. AWS is expected to generate total revenue of 166 billion, according to FactSet. When you have shifts that are this momentous, you want to bet big. Who led Amazon's cloud unit? JC specifically pushed back on cash flow concerns, saying critics misunderstand how Amazon makes money from these investments. We have to lay out capital and cash in advance of when we can monetize it. He said, explaining that investment in data centers infrastructure are made years before they generate revenue. And that just leads me to say they know where the target is and where the buck's going. And I just, my guess is it's trying to take over global payroll and save companies that money.
Hey, Zeke.
Zeke, what do you got?
Yeah, good morning. I had to let the dogs out. That's why I had to take my hand down and put it back up again. Maybe, artificial intelligence, a great misnomer. Refurbished intelligence probably is a little more accurate.
Explain that a little bit, Zeke. What's refurbished intelligence?
It's regurgitated information which already exists. The same thing as a refurbished item is something that's already exists and somebody refurbishes it.
I think it's a little more because doesn't it take that information? It can make inferences about the future and how to run things from that information.
Yeah, that's true. But it doesn't go so far as to it doesn't meet the intelligence of the human brain in my estimation, at least not at this point.
Do you think it will?
I don't know, but that brings about another concern I have. Uh, Not for me because at my age it's not. I'm going to be gone before it matters. But is artificial intelligence going to make a high school education far less valuable than what it is now? That's one thing. And the other thing is this artificial intelligence is great as far as I've used it for obscure subjects that people are not interested in, like 4x5 black and white photography. I was amazed at the answers that it was able to bring up. But my concern is the control it gives large institutions or governments over us. Being a control freak, that's a concern of mine. It won't control me because I won't let it, just like I won't let advertisers control me. The more somebody advertises to me, the less likely I am to buy something from them. That's just my way of dealing with that.
No, I get it.
An example. This is not really advertising, but an example of how somebody tried to exercise control over me. My Costco account is due at the end of this month. My membership. I looked on my bank account the other day and they'd already taken my membership out. So I called them. Well, that's what we do. We take it out at the beginning of the month. No, you don't, because you now get to use my money for 30 days for something I've already paid for. So I made them reverse that. Anyway,
Zeke, the interesting thing is that you're probably 1 out of 100 that does that. And so they don't care. True. You call them, they don't care, give it back. The other 99, they're using their money.
Oh, I won't change the world. I'm not trying to.
No, I didn't say it, but that's why they built that model just that way.
Of course. But that's the very reason why we as a society are in many of the problems that we are in, because nobody wants to do anything about it. They just want to sit back and watch TV or whatever it is that they do in their spare time. So I keep saying that.
So Zeke, what? Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I mentioned the issue of if AI, well, not if, when it takes hold, and when it takes hold, it's going to have the equivalent effect on society of a nuclear war, pretty much. Only not negatively, but I mean, it is broad enough that
Impactfully.
it'll be a big bomb. And what's going to happen to the people that just have a high school education?
I think that's so. Two things you mentioned about government control. In my NVIDIA report that I put out, one of the biggest purchasers of NVIDIA chips is countries, nations buying up because they need the compute power. So that when it comes to controlling your life or monitoring your life, they're in the lead when it comes to some of the purchasing and build out of that. I have said this for a long, long time, and that is during the industrial age, we basically turned our education system into an assembly line. We did not change how we teach children, educate people. And I would say the one country to look at as a country that is adopting the new technology we're seeing, and I'm not for sure 100% on this, but is China. I would say China is probably, from an educational standpoint, is probably leading the charge of adopting what Mark is laying out. Is how do you as a young person entering the adult world and the financial responsibilities, how are you going to adjust? Are you going to a 4-year college and being taught some stuff that's been taught for 100 years, or are you going to a 2-year college and you're learning a true skill that is going to reward you 5-10 years out after you get to school, because you're following where the puck is going versus where it's at. And I think some of these other countries, I would be curious to see what China's doing and some of these other countries are doing when it comes to education in adopting this technology.
Think about if you were like a regent in a university or something. You're like, okay, I have an accounting department, I have a business department, I have, engineering, I have, whatever department it is. You don't need to go there anymore because I don't need those people anymore because I've got it all done, you know?
Yeah.
So they're going to have to restructure the way that they're going to survive universities. And, a lot of it would be like the community college. I've heard some universities are starting to actually offer trade courses, heating and air conditioning, car repair, things like that AI might not be able to touch as well as blue collar job situations.
Not only that, what's it going to do to the patent process? I mean, when you can take a patent and stick it in ChatGPT and say, change this up 10% so that I don't get sued, and let's develop something a little bit better.
Yep.
I mean, is there any use in having a patent anymore?
Yeah, I mean, good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Bill, what do you got? Big bad Bill?
Well, you were talking about China. Let me tell you a few things. As an importer, I've been to China many times. I have been riding in a car and people are explaining to me what's going on. For instance, number one, we went past a building, very nice building. Why? Well, why is it school? Well, that's the school for the company that's sitting around the block. Well, why is that? Well, then they're training kids in that school to work in their company, and they already have an established clientele of new employees that are available to work. Okay, now I have a Chinese daughter. Well, she's not, I didn't adopt her. She's my daughter, no matter what. she has a daughter. And when the daughter was very young, the mother was working with her days and nights. And so consequently, she ended up being a valedictorian of her class. She also graduated from Harvard
Nice.
a few years later. And I'm proud of both of them very much. Now I have a wife that's Russian. Her daughter-in-law is Ukrainian. So, well, her son is Russian and his daughter is Ukrainian. She works with their children. She has three daughters. She worked with each of them very well. So much so that the two older ones are the head of an advanced class in school. So one of these deals that she's in the 6th grade, and she's taken tests that are well into college. And so consequently, the other day we got a copy of a certificate that she got from the medical profession, which Doctors Incorporated, Lord knows why, it's a suburb of Chicago. And the reason was that they gave her a test that concluded 200 pages of information. And this test was such things as the circulation system of your body, the various medical parts of the body. Hell, I didn't get that until I was a college student. And now she's taken a test for that. She got the award as the best one in the area. Now, why? Because the mother worked with her every cotton picking day. In other words, we were there, and before the kid left for school, the mother was going over the math tests that they were going to have for mathematics. And so consequently, with this in mind, I can tell you in my own situation, they lived with me for a couple, 3 years, and I was teaching them the alphabet and counting and all this good stuff before they even thought about kindergarten. So if you work with a kid from start to finish, you're going to get this. Now, in China, working with a kid is a requirement, not an option. So if you want to do something, you can do it, but you have to put your head on and start thinking about how to do it. You can't just sit there and wait for kindergarten to teach the kids anything. That's my opinion, for what it's worth.
I would agree. I have two nieces and one nephew. And yesterday I spent the evening building a Lego kit with the 3-year-old or 4-year-old. And just the words that come out of his mouth, number one, sometimes he's a very funny kid, but also just the level of intelligence, but the understanding of we need to find this piece and this piece. And he's like, he sees it, boom. Here's how, put that piece with that piece. I mean, because his parents are educating him at such a young age, because their minds are so spongy at that point. He all three of them. Well, the youngest one's 9 months, so she's already talking, walking. Her communication is like, wow, you're growing up fast. But I agree with you, Bill. It starts at home. It starts with taking the time to spend with them. And I think if we can see that educational change at a kindergarten, elementary, middle school, high school level, college then becomes just an option. It doesn't become a requirement because these kids will advance so fast. But it does start at home, 100%. Good point, Bill.
Okay. Well, I kind of took us off the down a rabbit hole, but I thought that was kind of
No,
might
I think
spur some conversation and some
Mark,
thought.
Mark, this what you just did. This is how research firms and institutions identify the next companies to invest in, and I think that is golden. I think that's awesome. Thank you for doing that.
Thank
That's
you.
you
I'm going to
sort of
continue. I've got some thoughts on where I think Amazon and Google are going to go with this, and about a timeline on it too. But usually not my forte. I do like to look into research and stuff and figure out what's happened. But it really came from, how are they going to pay for all this? How are they going to pay for
yeah,
it all?
yeah.
I just didn't understand it until now. I think I understand it better.
I think you hit upon it. I think
I
you.
think Anthony's got his hand up. Our dentist friend, is that you, Anthony?
Yeah, it is. Good morning,
Hey,
guys.
how you doing?
I was listening to your talk, Mark, and I see patients there, and I talk to them every day on their jobs and all that, and they're telling me that Microsoft is already asking them to retire early,
Yeah.
take early retirement. So they're doing it already. And
Meta just announced 8,000 layoffs.
right, so it is happening. So that theory that you're talking about, it most likely is a scenario.
Yeah, and these big hyperscalers that understand where it's going, they're the ones starting by laying it off because they know they can replace them with AI.
Yeah, and to Zeke, high school level education is almost like elementary now. Nobody looks at it as any value. You first, when I was growing up, you better go to college because otherwise you're not going to get a job, right? A good job. But now it's like you better get um, um, a master or a PhD now to have a decent job, right? Um, I know in dentistry, to become a dentist, it's about $750,000 when you're done. Okay,
Wow.
and then don't meet your wife at dental school because now you got $1.5 million in debt with a piece of
Yeah.
paper in your hand. So if she gets pregnant and you want to buy a house and all that, you're going to be working about another 20 years before you catch up.
Yep.
Paying that off. And the insurance companies don't want to pay any money, so they're giving you the minimum. So here you are with a degree in your hand, no place to go. So where these kids going to is the new doctors are going to what they call DSO, which is like private equity buys dental offices and they employ these kids. Maybe they give them $250,000, but they work them to death, Mark. They work them to death. And, most of these guys want to be their own bosses. That's why they go to, they want to run their own practice, but they can't do it right now. It's going to take at least 10 years before they're able to do it, or maybe more. So, what happens to those people if AI comes around?
Exactly. I mean, you got to look at things. I mean, I look at around what I do, and I have real estate and I have big barns and things. So in the winter, I can store people's campers and boats and things. And AI really can't replace that. AI can't store your camper, your boat. I have fields that produce hay. Okay, AI really can't replace that. I mean, we can use equipment that is run by AI, and you don't need drivers, but you still need to have the field and the hay. So that's an asset. I mean, there are things you can do and think about, but you got to have the capital up front and the forethought to go and buy those assets like that.
Mark,
But I get what you're saying. Go ahead.
Mark, you talked about replacing the white collar worker.
Mm-hmm.
Robotics would be the blue collar worker.
Yeah, my
That
friend
would be
he has a metals factory, and I told you I toured it on my 60th birthday all day. He's got 7-8 buildings, and he took me to each one, and he has just buildings full of robots that bend metal, weld, move it over here, it gets painted, and one guy runs like 5 machines just to make sure everything's.
You think about what was it, iRobot or some of these other companies are building robotics. Who was it? I think Roger posted a video of a company that's building out robots on my office, and you hit upon the white collar being replaced. The blue collar could quickly be replaced because of these robots, and if they become affordable, we all could have one doing my yard work, doing home repair. I mean, the technology will get to the point where the hands that they have will be so lifelike, human-like. They'll be able to do really, the finest point things. Wow, that's crazy.
I'm gonna play this today's episode back to my two grandsons.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
This episode will be edited and put out there. And honestly, I would like to put it out publicly if it's okay.
One more thing, guys. I think the trade schools are where it's at now, because you could go to school 6 months, a year, get trained in air conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
You get trained on, plumbing, electrical, carpentry, and make a hell of a good buck.
Oh yeah.
That's and it's not as expensive as doctors are going to get replaced.
Well, you've been seeing, Anthony, if you watch a lot of these big, like BlackRocks and these guys that accumulate assets, they've been out buying up these little HVAC companies, local HVAC companies, and other service industries all over the country, because they know that can't be replaced, basically by AI. You got to, your air conditioner goes out, somebody's got to come out and fix it,
Yeah, right.
And but so I know a friend of mine has one here, and he just sold his out to a bigger company at a smaller little HVAC company. And electricians and plumbers, same kind of thing. They're buying those guys up too.
Yeah, I call a plumber to install a little kitchen sink when we put the new kitchen in there. $750 he charged me. I provided the sink, and it took him like a couple hours. He's done. $750. So
I had a door. I had a side door put in my garage, and all they had to do, I bought the door and everything. Two guys came and installed it. $650.
There you go.
Yeah,
it's crazy. So I would tell my kid, hey, go in that direction, and you'll do all right. AI can't replace those guys because somebody's got to manually do that stuff. So I don't think at this point, you never know, a robot may do it too.
Well, you think about farming, and again, I tell you about my good buddy. He farms a lot of acres. He's got 2 combines, huge combines. He's got 2 chaser tractors and 1 tractor that puts in this big tube in the field. And basically, he's got 4 or 5 guys running this whole operation. They can clear a 100-acre field in no time compared to what they used to be. And as I'm riding in the tractor's command tractor, you can see what's going on. He goes, well, look at my combine over there. There's a guy just sitting there. He's not running it. He's just sitting in it. He says that someday in the future, I'm not going to have him, because right now it's all GPS and it goes where it needs to go. It reads the terrain out in front of it, so it knows which height to put the head. And it knows when it gets full, it calls the tractor, and the tractor will come over and it'll empty it into it. I'm not going to need anybody. That's farming.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't the I would say too, for the humanoid robots, that they will end up being a consumer of data center compute as well. I'm pretty sure they're going to be driven by AI. I know Kerry has talked about autonomous vehicles as well. So this whole AI ecosystem is going to end up, that's part of the demand, right? The humanoid robots will be driven or at least communicate and get their intelligence from data centers.
That makes absolute sense, because if you have apply the same technology to an autonomous vehicle to a robot, I mean, I assume that's what is going to happen, because if your robot's driving your kids to school, it has 360 sensories, and it's got to communicate with something to update that information. It's just not standalone. I would think that you're right.
Yeah, it'll be more like you tell your robot, hey, I need you to go ahead and order the groceries. And, you know, it's communicating with the cloud and, you know, filling out the Costco order form and all of that for you, right? So those humanoid robots, the intelligence won't just be like ours, you know, in the brain. It'll be constantly communicating, and then it'll also be communicating with other intelligent robots to get their experiences, and the same will happen for doctors. Like what Elon believes that you'll have surgeons that will perform a surgery more accurately than any surgeon, and they will, if they make a mistake, every other surgeon on earth, every other robotic surgeon on earth will know that mistake and correct it immediately.
I think what you're saying, Troy, about ordering food and things. Berkshire Hathaway owns a big furniture store called Nebraska Furniture Mart. And I was over there and I was looking, refrigerators have the ability to understand when you're out of milk or out of cheese or out of whatever, and put it on a list for you and even send it to you via email now, that kind of stuff. So we're pretty close to that already, I think, Troy. Just, you know, why should they send it to you when they could send it to your grocery store and they just put it on a list for you?
Well, you think about like Alexa, you know, Amazon's thing. You can tell it to order stuff off Amazon.
Yeah.
Well, why not implant that technology into the brain of a robot? I mean, it's right there.
Or your refrigerator or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
What I want to know is, what the hell are we going to do if they're doing all this shit? What are we going to be doing?
That was my next question.
Yeah. I mean, what about people who have to make mortgage payments and all of a sudden 5,000 people in my company got laid off and I'm one of them and no one's hiring because, you know, they don't need my skill. I'm an accountant. Okay.
Alexa can't help you with that, Mark.
No.
I think it is the same thing that somebody pointed out earlier. We will find us something to do. I mean, you think about when they replaced the ox and plow with a tractor. That ox and plow manufacturer and farmer who raised that ox found something else to do. I think as humans, we continuously, once we replace something or take that task away from ourselves, we find something else to do with.
I agree, but I'm not sure at this scale that it's ever been this high at this scale where you can just wipe out 90% of your company. Like what's his name did at Square. You know, he's like 40% of my company's gone. Jack, what's his name?
Jack Dorsey.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Anyway, I hate to be that. Well, Angelo, got your hand up again.
No, I just want to remark on Trent that the ox became beef for consumption. That's a great.
Yeah, that became the next industry for that ox.
Yeah.
Yeah. They may not have liked it, but you know.
No, but I don't think I'd want to eat ox, but it just seems a little tougher than an Angus to me. Let's see, Zoom user, Anthony again. Anthony?